All right, we are live now. Welcome to Three Chicks in a Pod, Chicks in Salsa, and we are joined by Dawn L. Richardson. Hi, Dawn. So nice to meet you this week.
Hello.
I know Carrie and I were
Yes.
not here last week, so very excited that you're able to join us again. So obviously you're wearing a Chiefs shirt. You're a Chiefs fan. How did you become a Chiefs fan?
Since the day I was born.
Oh, you were born into it. Me too. Me too. I'm sure to this.
My dad was a Chiefs fan. I have been one since 1968. I grew up in Kansas City. That's all I knew. I grew up going to the games. Yeah, everything. I mean, if you have ever been to Kansas City during football season, this town is crazy. It's Chiefs crazy. No matter if they're winning or losing, it's crazy.
I love that. I love it very much. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into things. Candy, you want to start us off with this week's matchups and first half, and then Carrie will talk about the second half of this week's matchups as well.
How can we not be excited? It is the start of NFL season. Yay! And let's face it, there were some really good college matchups, and we're not going to get into them, but there
They
were
were
some really good college games that happened this past weekend to start us back into the football swing of things. I'm loving it.
absolutely.
But so Thursday night, we're going to kick it off. Well, actually, Megan's team, Dallas, is playing Philadelphia, the Super Bowl champions. Thursday night. Then Friday night, we have Kansas City playing the Chargers.
Yay.
Great first week matchup.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Then Sunday, Tampa Bay at Atlanta, Cincinnati at Cleveland, Miami at Indy, Las Vegas at New England, Arizona at New Orleans. Harry, you're going to keep me going there?
I am. Hold on here. We didn't pick up with the Bengals and Browns at Browns, Raiders at Patriots, and I really feel like we're going to see how much of a sleeper team the Patriots are because I kind of have a sneaky sensation about them. 49ers and Seahawks, Lions and Candy's Packers. Oh, I didn't realize that the first week y'all are going to be sleeping in separate beds. My goodness.
Oh, welcome back to football season and a divided
Right,
house.
right. I have at least one more week before it goes sour at our house. Texans and Rams, Ravens and Bills. Again, another interesting powerhouse matchup to see what those two teams come out. Viking, and then we're going to end with Monday Night Football of Vikings and Bears. I'm interested to see how the Bears, Caleb Williams comes out with year two and see with new coaching, new attitude. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. So that one's kind of one that I've got to start by on myself for me personally.
I think we did miss Pittsburgh at the Jets. So Aaron Rodgers' old.
Oh yeah, revenge game.
Hmm.
We did miss
But
that.
I don't know that he has anything to be mad about to have revenge, like
No, I don't
But
think so.
No.
I do think it's interesting. However, obviously we'll talk about that matchup when we get there. But I just don't think the Jets are going to have enough for Pittsburgh. Even though I think Pittsburgh is on the cusp of possibly having their first losing season in a really long time. They've been right there, really close, kind of mediocre for a few years now, and they could take that step back because don't know if Aaron's washed or not. It's yet to be seen. So, all right, let's break it down by division, and we're going to start in the NFC just in case Candy's got to run. So I want you to be able to talk about your own team. We will start in the East because it's ugly for my team. It's going to be ugly for the Giants as well. For the Giants, when I was breaking down their schedule, I was looking for possible wins instead of possible losses because it's just so ugly over there. Now they did do a few things during the offseason. They added Russell Wilson. Once again, that's another question mark. Is he washed? Is he not? Is he going to be doing high knees on the sidelines? Is he going to be interacting with his teammates? What is going to happen there? I don't think it's going to be great, but I don't think anything good happens in MetLife regardless. So, y'all's thoughts on the Giants?
I'm there with you. To be honest, it's the Cowboys and Giants are going to battle it out for the bottom, I think. So who's going to be able to pull off the better season?
I guess I'll talk about the Cowboys since we're there, and we got to talk about them. I don't think our offense is going to be as terrible as people expect it to be. I think if Dak is healthy, and obviously that's always going to be a huge question mark there. He hasn't quite been the same since the big leg injury, and then last season his hamstring ripped off the bone. So both of those incredibly hard injuries to come back from. He is aging. I think we did the right thing though with a 4-year extension. I think that sets us up to look for our next guy, look for our next franchise guy. And in the meantime, we can do what the Packers are known for doing, sit our rookie behind our starter. Now, obviously, we didn't draft him this year. Hopefully, maybe we'll draft him next year or the year after, and then that'll be right on time. Let him get a year or two behind Dak. Hopefully, Dak's healthy-ish for those 2 years. I'm not delusional. I don't think he's going to be healthy the entirety of the season. We did, however, draft a guard, Tyler Booker, and I think that's an excellent move. We had to address the age issues on our line. Zach Martin retired, and we lost a couple of key players as well. So running back position, still tons of question marks there. We did add Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, and great additions. However, they're getting a little bit older, so we'll see. And then we signed a couple extensions. We extended Bland, we extended Ferguson, and then we extended Turpin as well. And I think all three of those are very well deserved. The big elephant in the room, we traded Micah Parsons to Green Bay. We traded him for Kenny Clark, who I think is an excellent defensive tackle. So not to take anything away from that. And then 2 firsts too. I think that's really smart. We need to start planning for the future. And we're not in contention at this moment. And I think Micah deserves to be somewhere where he could look at possibly winning. So we shall see how that works out for him in Green Bay. He is currently injured at the moment, and will be having to get an injection before this week's game. That's a nightmare for a Cowboys if you're talking about, a defensive guy with a bad back. We've had flashbacks to Sean Lee and LVE. So maybe it was the right thing moving on both ends, to be perfectly honest. I just Green Bay puts us out of the playoffs a lot. So I didn't really like dealing our best defensive player to the Packers, but here we are. Y'all got a good one, and I hope it goes well for you guys.
Thank you. We'll take them.
Now, for the top of the NFC East, we're going to be looking at Philadelphia or Washington. I think either one of those have a really solid chance at being at the top. I think Philadelphia is maybe a step ahead of Washington. Washington is still in the process of their rebuild. Even though they had an excellent start to that, I think Jaden Daniels was better than expected. And Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury seems to have found his role as a coordinator. I think that's what he's best at. He had some time as a head coach, but I think he's really just a QB specialist. And he can call the plays as well. So I think you got to know your niche, and he's a coordinator. So I like what Washington has done. Paying Scary Terry was the right thing. I don't know why you delayed on that. He is your guy that has stuck it out through all of the dirt that is the Washington Commanders. He's stuck it out this entire time. Even if you're a new coach, you're new to the franchise, you pay that guy. You pay that one. That's the one you pay. So they did right. They paid him. I don't think you should have drug it out this long, though. So I personally got Washington finishing probably 1 or 2 less wins than Philly. I think Philly will win the division at probably 13 wins, 4 losses, maybe 12 wins, and then Washington at 11. But I actually, I really think they're probably going to get close to 13 or 14 wins. They'll win the division. Washington will get that wild card spot.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you.
I agree. I
on
agree.
The Commanders too. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it'll be Philly will get 12 wins. So, yeah, I agree.
I also think that while the Commanders were riding high at the end with Jaden, if you'll think back to Mahomes' first year, we rode really high and they were hard. It was hard to stop us, kind of like we saw with Jaden Daniels. I think that given the year and now they have a lot of film, teams are going to be better prepared for Dayton.
Agree with
By
that.
2
Agreed.
cents.
Agreed.
Candy, did you have any thoughts on the NFC East?
No, I think it's Phillies to lose. I think honestly, like they're the ones that are going to take it. Giants, yeah, they're them and Dallas, Washington. Like Carrie said, everybody's seen tape and film now on, them in the NFL. Like you can look back at college tape, but it's not the same. They don't play the same pace of the game. It's just not the same. So now that they have a whole season underneath them, yep, Phillies lose.
All right, well, we will move over to the NFC North. This is Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit, a very incredibly competitive division now. For a long time, it was Green Bay's division to lose, and Detroit is absolutely competitive. And I think it's probably their division personally. I think Green Bay is on the cusp, though. I think they're working their way up. Last year, the year before, they were the youngest team in the playoffs. And I think that showed once they made it to the conference championship game. However, or not Green Bay, that was Detroit. But Green Bay, they looked experienced when they were playing Dallas. They had that spark. They put them out. And then their lack of maturity and their lack of experience kind of caught up to them. So I think that'll be different this year. And then obviously you added a spark with Micah Parsons. So if you're playing fantasy, I hope you took Green Bay defense.
And we added a wide receiver. We drafted a wide receiver in the first round, which we haven't done in years. So we made 2 big splashes to improve. Obviously, we're going to miss Kenny Clark. He was really solid run defense, but we also needed to shore up our passing game defense. So that's why we swapped it, and it'll be interesting. I think it's going to be a tough division. It's going to be competitive. Chicago's got new coaches down there again. So like, how does that play out? And they're first time head coaches. So again, we've changed coaches for them again and again. And how will that play out?
Chicago's roster isn't terrible. Their roster isn't terrible. They have some pieces on there. They don't have the right coach in that situation now. Do they now? Of course, obviously yet to be seen. But I think it could be okay for Chicago, but I don't think it's going to happen in the first part of the season. I think they're going to look a mess probably the first 5 to 6 weeks. They'll start figuring it out probably week 7, week 8.
Yeah, and I still see I see it being Detroit and the Packers. I mean, with the Bears coming behind them, but I think it's going to take them a whole full year of having new coaching before we really see what they can do.
Yeah, I think that whoever wins the first matchup between the Lions and the Packers will predict what happens for the season.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
I think that's the deciding factor. Who wins first, I think, will also be the one that takes the division.
So Sunday's going to be interesting.
Yes.
It's going to be an interesting game.
The only thing I'll say about that game is, yes, that game is in Lambeau, but with Micah getting an injection and not being 100%, and Jordan Love did injure, and I know you're going to say it's not his throwing thumb or anything like that. Will that play a part into any of it as well?
Right.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And then, obviously the X factor of the division is Minnesota, because they looked like a really great team, but they didn't have the quarterback that they're riding with this year. So Sam Darnold over in Seattle now, JJ McCarthy coming in, starting right away after that injury. Green Bay has really given us the blueprint on how not to do that to your rookie quarterback. So,
true.
I hope that other teams, Dallas, I'm talking to you, please utilize that. And poor JJ, he's going to go out there. Now, I think Minnesota has a great line, and they have a great defense as well. So I think that maybe Sam Darnold isn't as good as he looked with Minnesota. I think Minnesota made him look pretty good. I could be wrong. We'll see there in Seattle. However, what is Minnesota going to do this year in that division?
That remains to be seen.
Nobody knows.
No.
That's why we play the games, right?
Right. Very true. Very true.
That's when you
All
bet
right.
on Minnesota as the wild, like the craziest bet ever.
Oh,
to
right.
win Minnesota. Yeah, that's when. Yeah, that's one of those.
All right, sliding over to the NFC South. So obviously, in both conferences, this is the weakest link. In the NFC South, we got Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Carolina, and Atlanta. Tampa Bay probably I'm sure the heavy hitters of this division. I love Baker's fit there in Tampa. Like I don't know that there's a better landing spot for him. They have tailored the offense for him. He's not going to be your guy that's going to make super flashy passes, but he's going to manage your offense. And his heart is the size of Texas, y'all. Like he has so much fight in there, and they love him there. So like I said, I don't think there's a better landing spot for Baker. And definitely the Bucs are going to win the South pretty easily.
Yes,
Without question.
Well, yeah, but I do think the
bad
Gens
as well.
Panthers are going to make a good showing this year because the second half of last year, if that's any indication how they'll roll this year, they were coming together when we met up with them. So we just saw them progressively get more consistent. So I think the Panthers are on the cusp of doing something, but they're going to have to unseat the Bucs. So I don't think that happens.
Right. Now, I do think there's a possibility they could come in second in this division. However, I don't think that they'll make a wild card team will come out of that division. But I agree. I think the Panthers will probably double the wins that they had last year. They have the chance to do that. And I think that while they drafted somebody that has some physical attributes that don't necessarily want to go after, however, I think that his attitude makes up for that. He wants to be in Carolina, and that's not something that you always find. So when you have that, you just do what Tampa did, do what Cleveland did when they had Baker. Baker wasn't the strongest thrower. He wasn't the biggest guy out there. So tailor the offense to fit them. Have them be a game manager, and you will be moving in the right direction. So
absolutely.
Now they did lose Adam Thielen. Thielen went back to Minnesota, which you can't hate on that. Somebody wants to go back to their home team. You get it, and that'll be a loss for Carolina there. So we'll see, but I think they have a chance to be at least maybe a 7-win team.
I don't disagree with that.
Atlanta is the question mark. I hear a lot of people saying that they're going to be competitive this year, and I just don't believe it. I'm not sold, not one bit. The only thing Atlanta can sell me on is their cheap concessions.
they do have that. Yes, yes, they do have that. But yeah, I think it's still going to be a rough year for the Falcons. Even though they have some some pretty good guys, but I don't see it. I think between Tampa Bay and Carolina stepping up, they're not going to go very far.
Agreed. All right, we will slide over to the NFC West. Now, this was supposed to be the most competitive division in the league last year, and it did not work out that way. So you got the Rams, who looked like the best team in the NFC West last year. Niners fell off a little bit, but the Niners fell off due to injury. And I don't like to lean on injury as a crutch because next man up, you have huge rosters. The next man up should be able to do that. But the amount of injuries that they had piled up by the end of the season was undeniable. So will they be healthy? What will they look like healthy? What will Brock Purdy look like? I think that's a question mark too. Was his rookie season a fluke? Was it not? Then you got the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks without their head coach, Pete Carroll. They had a new coach last year. This will be his second season with them. They don't have Geno Smith anymore. Both of those former Seahawks are now in Vegas. What do we think Seattle's going to be like? They got Sam Darnold.
Your question is between, for me, it's a toss up between the 49ers and if they can get everybody back without the injuries and back to the original form, and the Seahawks and what surprises that might be. I think the Cardinals will be at the bottom. I really feel like I don't see they did enough to change themselves out of that lower spot.
Agree.
Mm-hmm. And the question with the Rams is going to be Stafford and how,
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
How
because
healthy.
how healthy is he? Exactly.
I wonder that just like I have a gut feeling that he's fine. Honestly, I think that obviously he's had some back injuries, and they've been quite serious since the Detroit days. However, I think he's okay. I think they probably just played it really safe, and the media kind of ran with that. So I think we're going to see Matt Stafford look just fine.
Okay.
All right, sliding over to the AFC, starting in the East, you got Miami, New England, Buffalo, and the Jets.
The equivalent. Oh, yeah. Well, I think that the top is a given. I think the bottom's a given.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to see how the Patriots come out, because I think
they'll
that's
be
the
very
unknown.
well coached.
Yeah, that's the unknown. I kind of like Mike Vrabel. I don't know why I have to say that, because he was a Patriot. He's back on the Patriots, and he was an albatross at the worst time for us.
Right.
But I have, I'm going to pull for him.
I just don't understand why he's not in Dallas. That's who I thought we were going to hire, but we went with Schottenheimer.
Yeah.
Are you wait? Why are you surprised at that?
I'm not. Because Mike Vrabel wasn't a yes man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. So yeah, that wasn't gonna work.
Yeah, you're right. I was just hoping.
Did you momentarily forget who was your owner?
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't matter that he's the owner. It matters that he's the GM.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yes, you're right.
And almost the coach.
You're dang right. Obviously Buffalo's going to be at the top. I think the Jets are going to be terrible as long as they have that same owner and his erratic son. New England, I think it could be a question mark there. I think they could be well coached. I don't think that Drake May is the best quarterback out there, but I think he has potential, and I think he is maybe in the right system. I like Mike Vrabel, and I think that he'll put somebody in place to bring out the best in Drake May. He made UNC a football school, that's a hard feat. And this is before the Belichick era, which
right. Yeah.
we're not talking about that today, but hilarious. All right, sliding over to the AFC North, you got Baltimore, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati.
Browns have 50. I think they're down to 51 quarterbacks, so that ought to be fun.
When do we see what's the over under on the starting week for Shador?
It's not good. I think Flacco's going to take that for a while. Be there for a while.
Flacco's going to throw 5 interceptions in one game by week 4.
Exactly, and then they're gonna. Yeah. Why are they even doing that? They need to just be real.
I don't mind them going in and having him at the QB2 position. Have Joe go in there, teach him how to be a professional, and take the hits when Shadur's not ready for that. That's all right. Joe's already proven he can do that. It's fine. But he shouldn't be your QB3. Come on now.
Well, I mean, they have a dozen to choose from, so I don't know.
Which
they have to be the most comical team.
I still don't understand that. Like, why do you need so many?
They cut
What's
Huntley,
gonna
y'all. They cut one of them.
Yeah, that's right. It said they're down to
What?
52 quarterbacks. They cut one of them.
Like, why?
Yeah, no, Cleveland's going to be terrible. I think Cincinnati is the question here. What have they done? Is their defense going to be anything at all? I don't think so. But
No.
their offense is going to be just as high powered. They somehow finagled the cap and signed everybody that they needed to sign, which happy for them. However, you still have to continue to protect your quarterback, which y'all are pretty inept at. But
Mhm.
your QB2 is fantastic. So you're not in immediate danger if you don't protect your QB1.
Correct.
But you don't want to be the Niners who don't have a quarterback and then got to go with a rookie to start the rest of the season. So, what are you going to do?
That's the $1 million question is, I think you
I
have an
think they're gonna
obvious first,
fold.
and then it's a race to see who can pull it off second.
What about Pittsburgh?
They're gonna have to rebuild.
I haven't looked to see who they're playing though either. Like,
They're yeah.
and it completely depends on. And we say this. I mean, Aaron Rodgers in his prime, and I know he's not in his prime, was good. But now, does he meshing? Is the timing right with him and the receivers that he has and are they drawing up the right plays for that to be successful? And how good is his line? Because let's face it, as he's an aging quarterback, he's not as mobile as he used to be.
Right.
He really needs a good offensive line to block for him and protect him.
So I'm going to run through their schedule real quick. They're at MetLife playing the Jets for week 1. Then they play Seattle at home. Then they're at the Patriots. Then they go home and play the Vikings. Then they play the Browns. Then they're at Cincy. Then they play Green Bay. Then they go home and they're playing the Colts. Then they're at SoFi playing the Chargers. Their first matchup with the Bengals is November 16th, but that's a home matchup. Then they're at Chicago playing the Bears. Then they play the Bills the last week of November. Then they're at the Ravens. Then they're playing Miami at home. Then they're at Detroit. Then they're at Cleveland. And then they end against the Ravens. That is a really tough schedule for the Steelers.
Yeah.
I would say
I
the
don't see
second
it.
half is really tough. I don't know what the first
It is
half
really tough.
The second half is really tough.
I think they have a cakewalk for a couple of games there at the beginning, and then they're going to get their face drug through everything, and then we'll have to see how they make it
At
through
that
that.
point in the season, do they even have Rodgers?
But here's the thing. Maybe if they start off really strong with winning the first half, they'll have their confidence and they'll have their they'll be in sync with each other.
Right.
So it might not end as badly as we think. They're
Correct.
not going to be number 1, but it
No.
won't end as badly. But I
No.
think if they can get in sync with each other,
You know who I'm sorry, you know who their QB2 is? Mason Randolph.
He's really good with a helmet. Then also fairly good with the ball.
Carrie.
So if they need an extra defensive guy, they got the helmet guy there to help him out too.
yeah. So yeah, but seriously, I think you're right. Rodgers in my opinion, he needs to retire, but that's
Same.
okay. But I guess he's trying to catch up with Brady's record and all that. So hey, but
he's still better than half the other rookies that are out there. Though. I mean,
right. Yes. However, like you said, he is slower. He's not, he's not the same 25-year-old Rodgers. So they're going to have to get in sync really, really fast. I do think they have a great coaching staff that if they all listen and everybody's not trying to be number 1 and be a show off and they kind of work together and get in sync, I think they'll do well this season. But I think next season they really need to start really, really thinking about what they truly need for next year. And they really need some fresh blood in there, because I mean they're just kind of recycling the old, the people who have been in there. I mean, it just
Mhm.
they gotta do something new.
So, well, do you think that this is Tomlin's last season if he doesn't pull off a winning season for them?
Mm,
I don't think they let him go.
no.
Even if he has a losing season, the franchise has only ever had 3 coaches, and so I don't see them hitting the panic button and making him leave after one losing season out of however many seasons he's been there, 20
Yeah, because
plus.
he's
So
been there like 20. So yeah, I don't see
right.
them letting him go. I see them listening to him, realizing that they've got to get new players and they've got to put the money in it. And, you know, I think sometimes with Pittsburgh, they're used to the names of players who have been around for a while. So they're like, oh, yeah, let's get them because they've been around for a while and everybody knows their name, instead of saying, you know what, we need to get some rookies in here that are ready, they're fast, they're young, they're excited. That's what they need.
Agreed.
No, I
And,
agree with that completely.
and let's
I
face
was
it, they
really
still,
surprised. Go ahead, Candy.
I was just going to say, and they still have TJ Watt, who just signed a huge contract
Right.
too. I mean, their defense isn't bad either. So,
No, it's not bad.
mm-mm.
Not
I just
bad.
was surprised by the Rodgers move because Pittsburgh is such a no drama, no frills type of place, and Aaron is the opposite of that.
He is
Hmm.
he is very much the
And
opposite
you
of
just had that with Russell Wilson, like you just had somebody that's already a prima donna.
Mm-hmm.
so you went a step further. Let's just run smack dab into the prima donnas.
Right, and the thing about Aaron is, I will say this: in my lifetime, I feel like he's the most naturally talented throwing quarterback that I've ever seen in my lifetime. However, his attitude has always been a factor.
Yep.
Always. So,
Yep.
all right, sliding to the AFC South, and there's not much to say about them. You got Tennessee,
They're
Houston,
playing football there.
Indianapolis, and Jacksonville. I don't know that I would call it NFL football. The Texans will be playing some NFL football. That's
Texas, yes, the Texans will be playing some football.
Well,
Yes.
the one thing we can say about that division is they have the number 1 and the number 2 draft picks. So
they do,
Tennessee,
and I
go ahead.
Yeah, I think Cam Ward is. I think that I see so much potential there. You're just not. It's not going to be good in year one. But I
Right.
like Cam
Mm-mm.
Ward. I think he's going to be an excellent leader. And just everything I've seen out of him, I think he's very coachable. And sky's the limit when you're coachable.
Well, and let's face it, the number 1 and 2 draft picks go to the worst teams because that's why they were
Correct.
drafted 1 and 2.
Right.
So,
Correct.
and to throw these guys out there and into the realm and into the mix of things right from the start on a team that's bad, it's not a good recipe for success. I just hope that they don't lose their confidence because of that, because they both are
Right.
very talented players, 1 and 2. With
But
that,
you know what?
I hate
Sorry,
to say
Candy.
no, I hate to say this, but I got to get going. I have another
Okay.
show. You guys keep talking, though, okay?
All right.
Okay.
Much
Okay.
love, everybody.
Bye,
Love
Candy.
you.
Bye, Candy.
Bye.
You know, I kind of think, even though when quarterbacks come as the first and second draft pick,
Mhm.
they've been playing this game long enough to know that they are going to the worst teams. They
Oh, for
already
sure.
know that. And so I think their mindset is already into, I know it's going to take a little bit. I know we're going to have to, get in sync, and we're going to have to work at it. It's not going to happen overnight. And I think quarterbacks are coming in now being a little bit more realistic when they're drafted, and not thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to come in first year, I'm going to be a superstar like I was in college. I think they're being a little bit more realistic now, knowing that, hey, this is a real job. I got to learn the job. I'm not going to learn it in just a few months, and I have a whole team out there that's got to back me. So I think Cam Ward, I see him as a quarterback that will eventually possibly get traded to somewhere else, but I look to see him for the next 10 years.
I like that.
I agree
All
with
right,
that.
so we have hit y'all's division, and I think this is going to be the most competitive division in the NFL. So you got Denver, who is coming off of a year where I don't think anybody expected Bo Nix to be what Bo Nix was there in
No.
Denver. Now, obviously, we saw him in college, and we saw some potential there. You don't make it as far as you do where he was at without having some potential. But does he have a sophomore slump in year 2? They're still going to have the same defense.
Agreed.
No, I don't think he'll have the sophomore slump.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I actually
He's
think
got
that
an
whoever
excellent coach.
wins between us the first matchup is going to be the division winner. I can't say
Oh.
it with absolute certainty that the Chiefs will be the. Can we make it 10 years in a row? I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know. I don't know. But hey, we've been doing some trading and our trading is looking pretty good. So who knows? I mean, I always tell people if I mean, I always go with my Chiefs no matter what. However, you know, can we I'm like you, Carrie. Will we do it again? Possibly. I'm on the edge of my seat at every game. And I'm praying it before every game. And and making sure that our backup quarterback is just as ready in case something happens. So but
Oh,
yeah.
but speaking of y'all's backup quarterback, this year y'all got one.
Yeah.
I like Gardner Minshew. I'm all about the
Hmm.
mustache mania. I love Gardner. Now, don't get me
Hmm.
wrong. I think at this point in his career, his ceiling is a QB2. But I
Hmm.
think he'd be an excellent QB2 when Patrick obviously is going to have some ankle issues because it just is what it is.
It
And,
is what it
and not
is.
not that I think that Patrick won't start every game because he most likely will, but there's going to be some snaps that Gardner's going to need to go in there and manage the offense. And I think he's perfectly capable of doing that. And then, as we know, I love a guy with a great attitude, and I think Gardner's that.
Well,
Yes.
I feel like this is the first time since we uh was it Hint Chad that who was the one that we had for our second run at the Super Bowl?
Oh gosh. I can't think of his name and I
I
was
can
there.
see him. I can't.
I know. I can't think of his wait, let's see.
Wasn't I'd have to look at. I think that we finally have a quarterback that matches our backup quarterback that accentuates as opposed to being a complete opposite of Patrick. So
Carson Wentz.
Oh, Carson, yeah, that's who it was. Carson. Oh, yeah,
Carson Wentz.
you don't want him on your roster.
Yeah. Yeah. There are times when I have felt like I'm looking at the team and I'm going, they should use the backup for a couple of these snaps. Like they should use the backup and just let Patrick rest. There's been some times I thought that, but of course, that's not my job. However, looking at it, I'm going, maybe a couple of times, but I also thought it would be good because it would make the other team, it would throw them off
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Right.
They would be thrown off because everybody's mindset is, well, we know Patrick's going to play, we know this person's going to
Right.
play, but sometimes it's like maybe we need to pull back a little bit and and let him just relax a little bit and let somebody else take it, not all the time. But I think that would also get them ready on some of our games that we're not too worried about. Let them do that, because then they get to see what it's like if they ever have to just totally step in,
right,
Yeah.
I
because that's
agree.
some big shoes to follow. However, I do believe that he set the standard for one thing. When he came, he was not, he was backup, and he just waited his turn and he learned and he watched. And I think that's what quarterbacks now are doing a little bit more. They're taking from his playbook. Let me just sit back, learn, watch, and just be ready when it happens. Because when it happens, I mean, what's the name? From San Francisco. That's what he learned. It was like, wait,
Purdy.
I got to do what? Yeah, Purdy. I got to do what? Wait, when? Now?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
You're QB4, and now you're starting the rest of the season.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, you're not even thinking at QB4, I'm gonna be like starting the rest of the season. You're like, oh yeah, okay, they had me for one little game because XYZ. But yeah, so I think starting more and more to get the, second and third string quarterbacks ready and prepared is another thing. Because like we have Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, his backup needs to be ready because he is older. Some of these older
Mason
quarterbacks, I mean, yeah, but I mean, we got it. I
I
mean,
thought,
they
should
got
I
to
send
be
my walker to them
Rudolph.
after?
Well, speaking of QB2s, the former QB3 from Dallas, and he was a QB2 or QB3 there in San Francisco. He's now in San Francisco. Trey Lance, he's now in LA with the Chargers. He's the QB2 for the Chargers. Do we think this does anything for LA? Will they do anything in this division? Are they the weakest link in this division?
I think
Yes.
okay, so like Herbie even made it to the top 10 quarterbacks by somebody I just shared on our page earlier. And I'm like, Herbert has not proven anything.
No. No, he has not.
But when
he has not.
When he came to the league, I was worried. That was the team that I was most concerned about. And
Right.
anyway.
You said anyway.
Yeah.
I think they've had a barrage of really bad coaching there, and so they did address that issue. You know, they got Harbaugh, and whether you love him or you hate him, he's a decent coach. You know,
He's quirky.
Yes.
He is. He's very quirky. I don't think he's the best Harbaugh. I think the best Harbaugh is in Baltimore, but I do think he's an excellent coach. So I'm not ready to sit there and say Justin Herbert is not what we thought he was going to be, but it is probably the season for that decision. At the end of this season, if it's still the same, then he's not what we thought he was going to be. Now, I still think there's a chance, but we're talking about a team that has probably the most atrocious medical staff out there. They had a quarterback, y'all. They deflated his lung. They had Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod Taylor, I'm sorry, he was a decent quarterback.
Yeah. It's going to be a very, very interesting season, and I'm here for all of it, but it's going to be one to watch.
Ironically, the West has the 4 oldest coaches in the league.
That's interesting.
Yes.
When that played out, I was like, holy crap. The thing that I'm going to throw out there, because I like to knock the Raiders down whenever I can. I mean, who wouldn't? And Dawn, I do not have to like Tom Brady because Tom Brady loves himself enough to cover me and whoever else doesn't want to like him. So if you would like to throw your hat into that group, that's fine. He wanted Carter Bradley. That was his quarterback pick to draft, and they've already cut him.
I'm not a Brady fan. I'm sorry for anybody who is. I'm just not. But
I'm not a fan. I respect what he did. I don't think you can deny the amount of rings.
I do respect. Right. I do respect. Yes.
Seeing Bill Belichick at UNC last night.
Oh my God, that was a joke.
Brady a little bit more.
I saw another ironic post about that. The 47-7, was it 41-7? The age difference, yeah.
It's, I don't know. Part of me says you should just retire and just hang out and play golf.
No, y'all. He's 13 wins away from the all-time wins record. All he's doing right now is having a placeholder. He's putting his son in line to take over there at UNC, and he's coming back to the league, and he's going to win the all-time wins record. Now, it's going to take a couple of seasons because he's not getting 13 wins in one season because wherever he goes, he's going to beat booty. So he's going to get 5 to 6.
Where's he going to go? Who's going to take him?
Carolina.
Why?
I'm sorry, Jen. Because they were the only ones interested in the first place.
So I think that there is a generational quarterback every 15, 20 years. And you cannot deny that Brady was that for that time. Like, right. He has the stats, he has all of that to back it up.
Correct.
I think when you start looking, if you go and start comparing generations, that's where people get really stuck in the fact, well, no, you can only have one. No, you can't.
Right. No, it's a generation.
The game changes. The game changes. So when your game changes, Mahomes ushered in the high-flying offense.
Right.
Right.
Very true.
So the game changed. Did that mean that Brady's still was able to beat us? Yes, he was, because they had a system set up around him that would help them. And
Well,
then we just
not
blew
just
the
that,
tire out.
not just the offense, but their defense was incredible that year.
Oh, yeah.
Their defense was. So, but you're right, Carrie. You have the game changes, new rules happen, things like that. So now, I mean, you're good. I mean, now we're looking at this new class. I mean, and there are some guys in this new class that are gonna do very well. And then you have some that like I mean, and I hate to say this as a Chiefs fan, but like I feel sorry for Lamar. Like, he's with the Ravens, and I'm like, there are some things I feel like he needs to do as a quarterback, but I mean, he gets right there, and they can't get over the hump. And
I
so
think it's
because
Lamar. I think his biggest hiccup is he gets in his own head.
yeah, but because of that, you're gonna see somebody who's a really good quarterback, and they're never gonna have that shine.
Mm.
Correct.
He was,
I think Allen falls there too.
yeah.
I think that could be the case. I don't know about the improvements Buffalo made this year. I still think that they're the strongest team in their division, but I don't know that they're as good as they were last year, and definitely not as good as they were the year before that. So,
Correct.
No,
well,
correct.
we are close to 50 minutes here, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We went a little bit
Wow.
longer because we went through all the teams, and then we went through the week 1 matchups as well. Dawn, thank you so much for coming on. I had a really good time.
Thank you for
I look forward
having
to
me.
Yes, come
I
back
love
anytime
it.
you want to come back. Yeah.
I will.
Absolutely.
Anytime you guys want me, I come back.
Oh,
All right.
absolutely. All
All right,
right.
guys. We appreciate y'all watching and the comments. Dawn, if you want to plug yourself and let everybody know where they can follow you or any of your own shows, please do that.
So I am on Instagram. I am called Empty Nest Realtor. One because I am a realtor, but you'll see some of my travels. I have got to start putting them back on IG. I am one of those. I'm a Chiefs fan, and then second, I am a football fan. So you will see me probably whatever team you are rooting for. I will probably be at least one of their games this season. I try to make them. So you'll see me. If you see me, say hello, snap a picture with me, because I love hanging out, and I always try to find the mascot and take a picture with the mascot.
That's
And
awesome.
for you Commanders fans, I will see you in Madrid. So yeah, I'll see you
I'm
in
Oh,
jealous.
Madrid.
I'm so jealous. Have the best
Yeah,
time.
I do 1 to 2 international games every year, and I haven't been to
Very cool.
Madrid since I was like 16. And so I decided that I was going to go to Madrid. And yeah, let's see. Year before that, I went to Germany. Last year, I went to London. So yeah,
how
Very cool. So
fun.
you've been in the Tottenham Stadium then?
yes, I have.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm very jealous. That's my soccer team. I've like it's on my
yeah.
bucket list. It's on my top 5. I gotta watch a Tottenham game in their stadium.
Yeah, so my friends joke and they're like, Don, you got enough content in that phone to last you about 10 years with all the games and stuff you've
Right.
been to. So, but yeah, if you guys want to follow me, I'm there. And I've had a great time hanging out with you guys, talking shop and just whenever.
All right, guys. Appreciate everybody watching, those who shared and commented. Thank y'all. And we will be back next week, same time. We'll probably have a different iteration of Chicks, though. Bye, guys.
Bye.